gentlemen, we've got to dive into a lot of things here because as the Canadians are heading into the knockout stage, first time in the program's history here, the opponent is going to be South Africa. We got to have fun here a little bit in the media. And I'm going to ask some questions here about whether or not you would tinker with the lineup heading into a very big game. And speaking of big, I mean, he's 6'5", Promise David. And already, this is a guy who has 4 goals and an assist in less than 300 minutes for the national team. So, Jimmy, you know where I'm going with this.
Yes, I know.
Do you start him on Sunday?
Look, in an ideal world, of course you would start him. For me, he's a top striker, and he's someone that we need. After speaking with him, I saw him just before the tournament started, and he actually said that he wasn't ready to play 90 minutes. He'd be available probably maybe 20, 30 minutes or so, just because his fitness levels aren't there. Now, we're very lucky that he's even at this tournament for the work that he's done behind the scenes to get him in this situation. I would personally have Kyle Larin or Tanny up top, do the dirty work, wear down the center backs, wear the back line down, and then bring on Promise in the last 30 minutes or so and let him terrorize the defenders. After they've already been worn out and a little bit fatigued, then bring the big man on. But to start him, there's no way, because there's no chance he could last 60 minutes, 90 minutes. He's limited what he can do, and I think bring him on. You can't start him.
I guess given the current fitness, and you're right, if you let the other guys run around, wear down the opponent, and then Promise David comes in, the imposing figure that he is, the strength that he has, then he can be impactful. But that doesn't mean I'm not going to now pose the question to you, and if you think Promise David should get the start.
No, Jimmy's right. I think obviously with the hip injury that he has, it's tough to just go and start him and put him in, because then you know as well he's not going to get that much time to get acclimated in a match. I love when he comes on into a match and he's able to be a little bit more free like he was. We just got to put up some numbers as well. He came on in the 75th minute against Switzerland, which I thought was late, Jimmy. I thought that was a situation you could have put him on in the 55th, specifically seeing how the match went and that Switzerland were pressing and scoring goals. You knew that you needed a goal or goals to stay in the match. Get someone like him on. But 73 seconds after he was subbed on, his first touch, the ball was in the back of the net. You mentioned it, Trills. No one has a better goal-to-minute ratio for Canada ever than Promise David. So I think he deserves more respect. It's very clear that with Jesse Marsh, he said he had a lot to learn, Promise David, in terms of how to press. I say to hell with that. If this guy can put the ball in the back of the net, give him that respect to go and put him on the pitch. But I think in the future, after this World Cup, as things progress, you'll see him playing more and probably starting. But for right now, he's that guy to come off the bench and make something happen.
Maybe that's where I'll be more curious on Sunday, to your point about substitutions, because I would say Jesse Marsh has been getting them right so far, except for in that game against Switzerland. We all agreed it was a little too late.
Yes.
They were right, but maybe they were a little too late. So we'll see, obviously, with Promise David, if he can come on earlier to have that impact. So let's bring you to the bracket here. The teams in yellow, they are locked in. The teams in white still yet to lock in their position. But what we do know is Canada, South Africa, and for sure, whoever wins that one moves on to the round of 16. Their opponent will be either Netherlands or Morocco. This is Our House, presented by Samsung. Let's talk a little Moise Bombito here, because he's been sprinting. He's been looking good in training, but we didn't see him against Switzerland. And maybe some people are just a little hesitant when it comes to Moise Bombito, Jordan, just simply because he said he was 100%. Then we know in the friendlies leading up, comes out about 30-minute mark, Uzbekistan didn't end up playing against Ireland. And even though he has seen some time, do you think he was in fact just being rested against Switzerland and he will start over Luc de Fougerolles?
I think he was rested. I think at that time as well, when you need a goal, I think it was a smart decision to go and keep him on the bench and to trust Luc de Fougerolles, who I thought has been excellent this tournament. Like the minutes that he's played, the way that he stepped up, it wasn't an easy match against the Swiss to go and to contribute as a 20-year-old. But I think if Moise Bombito is ready, meaning 75, 80%, you have to start him. And the reason why I'm gonna say that is Luc, you gotta rest a player like that, that's 20, to play them all the time, the mental fatigue, there might be some mistakes. But now, you mentioned it the other day as well, Gaff. You're getting to round of 32, your best players got to play. They have to take you over the line. You don't want to think about, if something happens in this match, oh, this player wasn't fit, oh, this player wasn't ready, if we had them, what we could have done. You got to play a player like Moise with his presence, the way that he can lead that back line. If he's 80%, he should play. I also think, too, you have to take in consideration this game, which it could easily be a 1-1, 0-0, going to extra time. Maybe you have to go and use a body, but if you bring on Moise Bombito later and something happens and you have to take him off again, it's like you're wasting 2 subs. Start him, let him get that warm-up, too, because that's another thing that people don't really talk about is when you're injured, but you get that warm-up before the match to get yourself prepared, and then you go on and start and then play, that serves a player better. Sometimes coming off the bench, I don't care what anyone says, when you're warming up on the sideline, it's not the same as warming up before a match. So Moise Bombito, if he's ready, I expect to see him on Sunday.
Yeah, you've said everything. Next question. No, do you know what? To be honest with you, though, right? That was well said. You did a good job there. With Moise as well, what he brings is he's got that presence in the back line, but it's his pace.
Yeah.
And as you start going deeper into the tournament, you're going to start playing against a lot faster players that are calculated, have good football IQ. And with Moise, what he does allow you, he allows the players in front to go and press, to go pin teams in, because you're going to get left 1v1 in the back. Moise Bombito, for me, is a defender that doesn't care if he's 1v1. He's happy to defend. So he'll push everybody forward and say, not a problem, that this ball goes over my head, I'm getting there first because I'm the fastest one on this pitch. And you need a center back like that can get you out of danger, that can sense danger, but also can push the players in front of him to go. A lot of the times, too, with slower center backs, when you're playing against faster teams, what they do is they start pulling in fullbacks. They start pulling players in front of them. And it makes it difficult for players to engage, and you become a little bit late in the press. With Moise in the back there, and his confidence and his ability, he'll allow everybody to go and press and not be worried being isolated in the back. So for me, he has to start this game.
Well, I'm glad you said something, because I was going to remind you that we get paid by the word. So
there was a lot there.
There was a lot there. So you're going to get a good check in the mail.
What am I getting?
Yeah, good check in the mail. Let's talk a little Max Crepeau here, because that second goal that he let in against Switzerland, it had a lot of people talking about it. And the only reason why I bring this up is only because Jesse Marsch didn't name his starter until just before the World Cup. It was that Ireland game. It was the final friendly heading into the World Cup. It had been between him and Dane St. Clair. So the only reason why I asked this is because Jesse Marsch himself has set this precedent of going back and forth between his goalkeepers. So do you think there's any concern here with Max Crepeau heading into Sunday?
None whatsoever. None whatsoever. He's your number one going into this tournament. He's made some great saves in that game, the last match as well. Came out big. You see his presence, how he controls the box, how he demands his back line to work. And for me, going forward, to even think of maybe swapping the goalkeepers, no, you can't do that right now. You have to trust Max. Yes, okay, maybe it was a little bit soft. Maybe he could have got it. But at the end of the day, you have to trust your goalkeeper, give him confidence, and say you're starting in the 32.
Listen, it's no secret to anybody that I'm married to a former goalkeeper and goalkeeper coach. And he used to say, whenever people would say, why didn't you make that save? He would turn around and say, well, why didn't you score that goal when you had that open net? How about that, right? It could go both ways, that's for sure. Yeah, so there you go. Let's continue chatting. Alphonso Davies, Ben Steiner putting this out that Davies asked Jesse Marsch to play yesterday morning, meaning against Switzerland, but Marsch decided he wouldn't. He hasn't hit the benchmarks needed yet, and when he does play, it won't be 90 minutes. We know there's obviously a little bit of history here as well with Nations League and Alphonso Davies getting injured under Jesse Marsch, and then the fallout of that between Bayern Munich and his agency. I almost wonder if Jesse Marsch is just being a little cautious here because of that type of history, Jimmy. Or, I mean, if you ever went up to a coach and said, I'm ready to go, does he listen? Does he put you in, or are there other factors there?
No. No, he doesn't listen to me. Because you know why? A lot of the times, too, with players, even if they're injured and it's a bad injury, they're coming back, they feel okay, but they really, deep down, they can still feel it. They don't want to tell you the truth half the time because they want to play. They want to be in those big game moments. So what ends up happening is the coaches, they talk to the sports science, they talk to the physios, the coaches have to get together, and they have a plan in place. And as training's going, as they're working on this individual, if he's hitting targets, then you say, okay, maybe he's almost ready. Maybe another few days and we're going to get him to 80%. Another 7 days, he's going to be at 90% for us. You can't rush the player in. And as many times, look, I've done it myself where I said to the manager, I feel great, put me in. He'd be like, no, you're not ready. You can't. So behind the scenes, they're working closely with him. They're monitoring him. And I'd imagine that in this one now, the round of 32, you're going to see Alphonso Davies. And you have to, because if he doesn't play in this, what was the point of bringing Alphonso Davies into this squad? There's got to be a point where he has to play. And I think by now he must be ready, or very close, to at least get on and play 30 minutes, 40 minutes, hopefully, in this next game against South Africa.
We got to keep in mind, too, guys, that this wasn't an isolated incident. Like, if it was a situation where this is the first time he pulled his hamstring, then you're like, okay, maybe you could speed him back and make sure that you put him in a situation. He's had 3 since March, right? So this is a situation when you looked at it, people were saying, okay, give him 5 weeks. It's been nearly 8 right now. That means you're cautious. To your point, to Ben Steiner's point, he hasn't reached those benchmarks, right? So I think with Jesse Marsch, again, there's people at home that says this was gamesmanship or that it was used as a decoy. I think this is very silly. I would just love for you to be like, look, he's not going to be ready for this game, and we play the next one. I don't think Switzerland or anyone else was like looking at Alphonso Davies like this in the tracksuit, not warming up, being like, they have one more sub. Oh, they didn't care. They were just focusing on what they had to do to get the job done. But with everything that I've heard, with everything that I truly believe as well, he wasn't ready for the last match, but he'll be ready for Sunday. That doesn't mean start, but that means contribute. And I think, obviously, with players like Bombito and Davies, what they bring, specifically Davies, if he's good enough to give you a shift in some capacity, that could be 30 minutes, that could be 15, that could be coming on in extra time. Got to go and play him and see what he can do. Because imagine, I can see the scenes right now, providing that last cross, scoring a goal. And we waited 2.5 weeks. We gave him a little extra time. If he's saying that he's ready to go and he reached those benchmarks, you got to play the kid.
So you expect him to play on Sunday?
I do. I don't expect him to start, but I expect him to play. And something right now, I see this going the distance, meaning it's not decided in 90 minutes. So a player like Alphonso Davies could go and just make the difference in an extra time or whatever that might be. And from what I hear from people and just people that are close to him is that he'll be ready to be playing in some capacity on Sunday.
And you feel the same way. You're expecting to see him on Sunday.
100% I expect to see Alphonso Davies.